What's up, Taiwan? I'm Erika Liu with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's state power provider is in the hot seat again after a blackout over the weekend left over 12,000 people on the Taiwanese island of Xiaoliuqiu without electricity for an hour. Taipower says it'll now review its supply strategy for the country's outlying islands. But the incident has renewed long-standing concerns over Taiwan's power grid. Joyce Zeng explains.
A family on Taiwan's outlying Xiaoliuqiu Island gathers in darkness for dinner after the island of over 12,000 completely lost power. The island, part of Pingtung County, lies southwest off Taiwan's main island here and is popular among tourists for its scuba diving. And it's these high tourist numbers that Taiwan's state-owned power supplier and county officials have blamed for the blackout.
因为是假期的关系，所以整个用电量创了历史新高，导致这个保护设备来跳脱。
This isn't the first time in recent memory that Taiwan's communities have been left in the dark. The capital, Taipei, in the country's north, has seen multiple blackouts, as has its industrial neighbor Taoyuan, where a string of sporadic outages earlier this year pushed Taipower's president to offer to step down. This all comes as Taiwan aims to build on its edge in high-tech industries. It's already a world leader in making advanced chips, a power-intensive industry. Tech giants like NVIDIA's Jensen Huang say they also want to set up shop in Taiwan. And Taiwan's president, Lai Ching-te, has pledged more energy options and a stable supply as the country eyes the global AI wave.
政府一定会稳定供电，而且会提供多元绿电，让台湾成为人工智慧岛，这个目标可以实现。
Energy experts say renewables are the only way to load more high-tech business into Taiwan, but that current efforts on this front fall far short of what's needed.
In Taiwan, we have a lot of renewable resources like geothermal, biomass, and the offshore and also ocean energy. But we don't have a very good business model. For example, in geothermal, one small plant will cost 4 years for the administration process.
The warming climate is adding to the country's energy concerns, something that may have contributed to the latest blackout in Xiaoliuqiu. The high temperatures lead people to turn on air conditioning and fans, but energy experts say the heat also hurts the efficiency of power plants. Without more resilient energy options, Taiwan's already strained power grid will likely see more incidents of overloading, making outages all the more common. Patrick Chen and Joyce Zhen for TaiwanPlus.
The defense minister says the U.S. will finally deliver all the anti-tank missiles Taiwan has ordered by the end of the year. Wellington Koo made the announcement while taking questions from lawmakers. Taiwan ordered 1,700 TOW missiles in 2017. They were originally scheduled for delivery in 2022, but have yet to arrive. Koo said this is because the first batches of missiles failed to pass U.S. Army tests. TOW missiles are anti-armor weapons that can be used against tanks and bunkers or against landing craft in the event of an invasion. A sailor has survived jumping overboard from a naval ship. The 24-year-old jumped as their ship was leaving Keelung Harbor in Taiwan's northeast. They were able to swim ashore and ask for help. A hospital later found no serious injuries and discharged the sailor. A military investigation is underway. The Navy says the sailor had served 4 years without incident.
表现的部分都还算正常，但是有一些个人一些一个小问题。目前的实际状况我们要再看的，已经跟他做辅访，可能对他的未来的继续服役，他有一些需要再跟家里面跟单位再做沟通。
A police official in Hsinchu has died by suicide, the latest in an alarming trend in the police force in Taiwan. The incident has brought renewed focus on the mental health of officers and efforts to form a police union. John Van Trieste has this report.
This police station in the northern city of Hsinchu is the latest to see a death by suicide. Its deputy chief took his life late Sunday, becoming Taiwan's 8th law enforcement worker to do so this year. By the time his colleagues found him in his dormitory room, it was too late.
远警值班交接，发现红眼枪弹未缴还，察觉有异， 立即于驻地3楼寝室寻找，发现洪远已自强倒卧勤务宿舍床铺，同仁立即通知119人员送医，经救护人员到场确认死亡。
The police force is looking into why the deputy chief killed himself. There are resources for officers needing mental health care, but officers say seeking help can have consequences, like having their guns confiscated and only being given menial duties. Li Liling has worked with officers in the southern city of Kaohsiung, both through classes on stress relief and through one-on-one counseling sessions. She says the government has done a good job and that younger officers are much more willing to seek help. But she also says old worries linger.
他们还是有一点担心的，他们主要担心2个点，一个是就是污名化的问题，所以我去咨商这件事情是不是让长官啊或同仁啊觉得说我是一个比如说偷懒啊，或者是我是有问题的啊，这个污名化的问题仍然在。然后第二个就是说他也不想让自己的事情变成在记录上。
And there are officers who say they need more than therapy. Taiwan considers police to be civil servants, and this means they can't form unions. Some officers say this is the reason behind work conditions that wear down mental health in the first place.
因为在我们近年的统计会很明显的显示，警察人员的工作压力跟心理状况其实跟他的工作量有关系。那如果是工会系统的话，就会变成我如果是工会，我就可以就这件事情去跟那个机关做集体协商。
Despite investments in mental health, Taiwan still sees more than 5 police officers take their lives in an average year. This year is only half over, and already Taiwan has passed that mark. Kama Xu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelenskyy says China should talk directly to Kyiv if it has proposals to end the war with Russia.
Вважаю, що Китай міг би нам допомогти. І тому дуже хотів би, щоб ті чи інші пропозиції, які є у китайської сторони, щоб вони були в нашому діалозі. Я не можу сприймати пропозиції просто через медіа.
Zelenskyy spoke at the end of a summit in Switzerland aimed at ending the war. It was attended by more than 100 countries and international organizations, though Russia was not invited. Nearly 80 of the attendees agreed to call for Ukraine's territorial integrity as the basis for any peace agreement. China says it did not attend the summit because Russia had not been invited. Tensions are high in the South China Sea after a Philippine supply ship and a Chinese boat collided. China's Coast Guard says the Philippine ship deliberately caused the collision. Manila says the accusation is, quote, deceptive and misleading. It's the latest in a series of incidents at the contested Second Thomas Shoal. Meanwhile, U.S. fighter jets carried out strikes in a joint exercise with Philippine pilots. Video shows 4 fighter jets flying out of Clark Air Base near Manila. Australia's Prime Minister and China's Premier have met in Australia as the two countries move towards stabilizing a rocky relationship. Rosie Greninger reports.
With an enthusiastic handshake, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese welcomes Chinese Premier Li Qiang to Canberra. It's the first time in 7 years a Chinese Premier has visited Australia, marking a major milestone in stabilising relations between the two countries after years of political tension. The leaders held formal talks in Canberra, with the Chinese Premier describing them as candid and saying they reached a consensus in a number of areas.
我们双方重申坚持全面战略伙伴关系的定位，坚定相互尊重、相互信任，始终以积极的态度看待和处理中澳关系。
The leaders agreed to improve military communication and to expand cooperation in energy and mining. They also announced that Australians will now be included in China's visa waiver program. But after years of soured relations over sweeping tariffs on Australian exports, Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese also addressed key disagreements between the two countries, including military confrontations in the Pacific and the suspended death sentence handed to a Chinese-Australian writer Yang Hengjun on spying charges.
and we engaged in a very direct way about some of the differences that we have. The incidents that have occurred, for example, I certainly raised our issues in the Pacific as well as other issues, including human rights, including Dr. Young's case, as well as the Australians who are on death row. We, of course, in Australia oppose capital punishment, and I reiterated our position there.
Outside Parliament House, tensions flared between anti-China demonstrators and Beijing supporters. Anti-China demonstrators called on the Australian government to not overlook human rights abuses for an economic gain.
China is very good at showing the good image, but at the same time, it's very good at hiding the bad image.
Albanese and Lee are now set to travel to Western Australia, a centre of the mining industry, to speak with business leaders. And although the outcomes of this meeting between the two leaders have been modest so far, it signals an obvious thaw in previously frosty ties between the two nations. Leon Lien and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
Disability rights groups are calling for standardized accessibility rules for air travel. That's after incidents including an airline telling a group of blind travelers they would each need a sighted guide in order to board their flight. The groups say every airline and airport has different rules, making it hard to know what to expect. The Civil Aeronautics Administration says it will discuss the changes these groups want.
很多的重度障碍者都表示说，他根本就没有办法在机边领取到他个人的轮椅哦。重度的障碍者、极重度的障碍者，有很多人有他的坐姿摆位的一些客制化调整。当他坐在那一台机场的基本设备的时候，他其实就是不断的在受到身躯的一个伤害。
A retirement home for water buffalo in western Taiwan is saving the domestic animal from being slaughtered. Its founder, Lin Jialiang, has saved 3 of the animals so far and says he has applied to expand his facilities to take in at least 12. Lin's been able to sustain his retirement home by selling homegrown rice. He says he hopes the sanctuary will help educate people about the domestic water buffalo and traditional agriculture. Water buffalo were once widely used as working animals before farming became mechanized.
未来这会变做讲咱云林的水务安养中心以外，会阁变做当初时一寡退休的阿伯有无？伊遮的农具啊，阁牛车啦，犁啦，遮我会慢慢甲伊规划，讲是农村水务的迄种博物馆。
Conservationists on Taiwan's outlying Penghu Islands have released 13 rehabilitated sea turtles back into the ocean. The turtles were rescued from bad weather conditions or because of poor health. They were released once they were deemed healthy enough. Conservationists hope the turtles will return to Penghu to lay eggs. 12 were green loggerhead turtles, and 1 was an olive ridley sea turtle, the first turtle of its kind to be released in Taiwan.
那这次特别综合报告去记录它未来的生态跟洄游生态，那也希望我们野放的海龟可以再回到澎湖来产卵，那产下更多的下一代。那也希望我们未来可以有趣发展，包括让小朋友更多的海洋教育机会。
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, check out this ship retracing Charles Darwin's journey to the Galapagos Islands nearly 200 years ago to inspire a new generation of naturalists. I'm Erika Liu. Take care and see you next time.
For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, follow TaiwanPlus News on social media.